I've been trying to learn more about the world through coffee. I'm serious. So it started by trying to get Starbucks home, right? Getting into espresso, making lattes, and I'm loving it, using pressure to make better coffee. And then when I was traveling, then I got into AeroPresses, pour overs, French presses, immersion, percolation, these approaches to brewing better coffee. But the reality is that's still a very Eurocentric or probably a very Western approach to coffee. Coffee, it's a global commodity, it's everywhere. And there's so much of coffee culture across the globe that I'm just not tapping into. So I started with South Indian filter coffee. I have a video, everywhere. But it was really different. And I loved it. And that really got me down into this rabbit hole. And I'm trying out Vietnamese coffee. So I'm going to talk about a few things that I learned. But if you want to skip straight to the recipe, I'll flash the time here. You can probably click some of the timestamps below, whatever. You do you. First are the coffee beans that go in Vietnamese coffee. And a majority of Vietnamese coffee is Robusta, and that's different. It's a harsher, hardier species than Arabicas, which you normally see in specialty coffees. It's got double the caffeine, so it's got a real kick that wakes you up in the morning. But it's also cheaper. In fact, it's the majority ingredient in instant coffee. It also has a generalization that it's inferior. I was reading in this book, Coffee, A Global History, highly recommended, that the main tasting note of Robusta beans is burnt rubber. You probably don't want that. The good part is there's a specialty revival on Robusta, and that means folks are looking into better harvesting, better processing, better roasting to extract the best flavors out of Robusta. So out here in the US, there are some cheaper pre-ground options that I just do not trust at all. But there are some companies like Win Coffee Supply that are trying to get the best beans and roast them the best way. So wherever you are, take the effort. Find your best Robusta beans near you. The second ingredient is condensed milk. Wait. You'll be like, what? Why condensed milk? Why not just use milk? Well, the story goes, coffee came to Vietnam pretty late. Their production really took off in 1980s, well after the war. And prior to that, it was difficult to get milk, right? The dairy industry wasn't that well developed. So you needed something that was shelf stable, and you got condensed milk, which is just milk and sugar that you add to your drink. Now, you might be thinking, hey, is this another Starbucks 3 pumps of hazelnut in your latte, just super sugar drink? Yeah, but man, it just blew my mind. This Vietnamese Robusta goes so well with condensed milk. It's just, oh my God. The bitterness and the brightness and the sharpness of a Robusta, it's hard, man, goes so well with the sweet subtleties of condensed milk. That thing just works amazing. I tried the same Vietnamese Phin with an Arabica, and I just didn't get the same flavor. Condensed milk is solid. I really think Vietnam it's onto something here. It's amazing. Vietnamese coffee is made in a special brewer called the Phin. This guy. And I love it. So it's got a little plate that sits on top of a glass. It's got the main body. There's a thing called a lily pad. Interesting. And a cap to also help retain the heat. Essentially, it's an immersion brewer that's simple and dirt cheap. All right, let's talk about the recipe. I'm making a Phe Sua Nong. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, but it's a Vietnamese hot coffee. You can very well add ice and make it a Phe Sua Da, which is a Vietnamese iced coffee. Anyways, so we'll start first by grinding your coffee beans. I ground around 30 grams into something that looked like rock salt. On my niche 0, I was grinding this at 40. Now, it probably doesn't matter because everyone calibrates differently, so that number just doesn't matter at all. Whatever, ignore it. So then you take your glass, you put 1 teaspoon of condensed milk. It really pours very slowly. And then you put your Phin filter. So you put the plate, you put the body, you pour your ground coffee, and you tamp it with the lily pad. And then you pour a little bit of hot water, just enough to cover, and then you wait for it to bloom. So you're waiting 35, 40 seconds. And that's why it's important to have fresh ground coffee. If you had the pre-ground stuff, it's just not going to bloom at all. Then you fill up the water till the top and cover it with the cap. And the instructions I got was you should wait for your first drip in 2 minutes and then your last drip in 5 minutes. And this is the hard part, man. I don't know what to do for 5 minutes. Like, what do you do? Like, this is so... I mean, it should be therapeutic. It should be calming me, but it's not. I'm like, I have nothing to do for 5 minutes except stare at this thing and like wait for my coffee. Anyways. And when it's finished dripping, I like to add more hot water, kind of fill up the mug, dilute a little bit more, and then you mix it all. And that's it. All right, there we have it. I love this. It's just, I'm so excited. Okay, but you know what? I'm not going to take a sip. I'm going to ask Prachi to help out. Prachi, do you want to take a sip?
Damn, that's good.
And there we have it. Like I said, this just blows my mind. Condensed milk with the bitterness of Robustas. I'm a big fan, and I highly recommend you try it too. All right, I will see you all in the next one. Bye.